Salutations and shit, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Travel and Shit, where I, your host, D. Carey, have an experiential conversation about the nuanced ways that travel intersects with regular life. Now, this week, I will be somewhat doing, I guess, a gratitude part two on the gratitude. I'd like to remind you guys again that I have a Substack where I go into a little more context, um, give a little more background information as to why I chose the topic for the episode, as well as include pictures that are relevant to the conversation at hand. So, this week's gratitude conversation, sometimes we look back on some of our life experiences, some of our decisions, and realize I would never do that fucking shit again. Now, I am fortunate to have made it home every time because sit here before you. Um, However, sometimes I have to really, truly thank my angels and my ancestors for keeping me through the shits. Now, I do not find myself to be a reckless person. And let me caveat this episode with saying that I really can't say that I would never do any of these things again. You feel me? Because I'm a vibes kind of girl. And I feel like I generally do a pretty damn good job of feeling a situation out and not diving into something before I've got a handle on where I stand in the equation. However, looking back, there are some things that I could objectively say, oh, I would never do that again. But then intrinsically know, okay, well, I kind of feel like I remember part of my thought process, at least in some of these things that I'm going to tell y'all about. I can feel like, okay, I remember part of my thought process. The last one, especially, I know my thought process. We're going to get to that. But this week, the things that I am grateful for making it through. With the eyes of wisdom gained in age. So, first thing that I am grateful for, I was randomly going through some pictures this week and don't remember. Oh, I remember what it was. I was looking for my I was trying to renew my global entry. My shit expired. I absolutely dropped the ball on that. But I hadn't, it expired, I think, this year or maybe last year. And I didn't have any, international trips on the horizon. But baby and I are taking our first Euro trip. I'm so excited. We finally booked, what do you call it? We booked, I won't say Paris because we're going to spend the least amount of time in Paris. We were going to Paris, and I am personally very excited to recreate a picture that my parents took in Paris. Um, so I'm so excited. We're going to Europe, and we're going to jump up to a bunch of different countries. And we chose to fly into Paris. This way, we could best optimize our time while out there to see as many different places as possible, since this is likely going to be like, I don't want to say the end of an era, but we're slowing down. But I'm very excited for that trip. And so I was trying to renew my global entry, and shout out to iPhone. You can basically search in your photo album for words that are going to show up in a picture, or you can search for a particular topic. I was looking for a swimsuit photo because I had mentioned, yes, I think it was last week's episode, well, the week prior, where I had my guest Gianna. I posted the picture on my Substack that I actually got. I was on the website because I remember I told y'all that I was a model for the day, and I modeled one of her swimsuits, and it turns out, I believe that photo shoot was for their e-commerce debut. Like, she began selling the suits online, and voila, I was one of those models. My photo was used. I was proud of myself. Anywho, I was looking for my global entry passkey, some wild shit, y'all. It was like pulling fucking teeth trying to remember passwords. I didn't write it down. There's like a whole government login shit, but all I did was Google like passkey and I found the picture. Shout out to those of us that take screenshots and actual photos of our computer screens. We got the receipts, and I'm happy that we can look that up. And in going through said receipts, I found a receipt that I, in hindsight, had to fucking question. And it was a picture of me on the beach, drinking with a bunch of strangers. I am 90% certain I would never do that shit again. I barely speak any Spanish. I understand. I think I can listen through a little bit more to get like, but then like that's within context. You feel me? Like I have to kind of have an idea of what the conversation is about. And then when I hear what you're saying, like I can kind of like, okay, we're going in this direction with it. And I think you're referring to that person or I need to be here. But I don't think they really spoke much English. And I was looking at the pictures and the pictures were so cute. Everybody was smiling. We had a great time. But I was on the beach by myself in Cuba, and I don't remember how it happened, but somehow I'm speaking to, I think it was two guys and two girls, or two guys and a girl. Don't fucking remember, y'all. And I remember they had like a bottle of soda, and they were all, sharing the soda, and they were at like, oh, here, please have some. And I was just like, not really. I don't really want any, but I accepted. And I don't think I even did. I don't even know if I finished it. I might have taken like a small sip from it, something like that. Or was it that I had a bottle? I might have had a beer on the beach. And I think I actually watched them pour it. Yeah, I'm not fucking stupid. I've done some stupid shit, but I'm not stupid. But I say all that to say, I remember it was like a used cup, and that shit skeeved me the fuck out. But I think I was trying to just kind of be like, okay, you go to a restaurant and how clean are the cups that they give you? And I've seen cups with lipstick on it after I've already drank from the cup. So I'm pretty sure I tried to rationalize it, but looking back, the fuck was I thinking, right? But again, I say context, the vibes, it matters. When you're in a situation, things generally feel a little bit different. And in hindsight, looking back, of course, you could say you would do something different. But in the situation, I chose otherwise. That's one of those things that looking back, I would say, girl, what the fuck are you doing? So that's one. Two, this I'm also 90% sure I would never do. But walking around Doha at night by myself, dragging my little carry-on. Do I still have that bag? No, I don't even think I still have that suitcase anymore. I don't think I had gotten, no, I didn't get the away bag yet. I had either a Samsonite or like a Swiss, cute little green number that I think I purchased from maybe Macy's or ordered online or some shit. I don't fucking know. But my trusty little suitcase, I'm gonna see if I can find a picture of that old suitcase. But I had gone to Doha. It was a layover. What was great about it at the time, I had flown Qatar Airways. Um, where was that final I feel like Thailand was my final destination, and I had decided to do an extended layover in Qatar. Um, and I'm pretty sure I just pronounced it differently both times I just said it, but I've heard it both ways. Shout out to what's his name? Something Rodriguez from Psych. Love that show. Love, love, love. And Dule Hill. Sean and Gus. Great program. But I had taken that layover and extended it because at the time, Qatar Airways had a program where you could extend your layover. They would comp your visa and you would get like a voucher or something for, I want to say like a 5-star hotel. They made it so that it was very easy to have a good fucking time out there. That being the case, I definitely took advantage of it. And it also included a tour, like a free city tour. Like they picked you up from the airport, you take a tour of the city, and either you got dropped back off at the airport or you, depending on your visa, because there was a visa that allowed you to leave the airport but not necessarily leave the tour group. And then there was another visa, the visa that I had, that allowed you to leave the airport and then also go do your own thing. So I went on the day tour, almost lost my fucking luggage because I ended up missing the tour group meetup. I ended up getting the luggage. Hence why I am regretting dragging my shit in at night. It was late, but I don't think it was like after midnight or nothing crazy like that. But it was Ramadan, so a lot of people were outside. I didn't necessarily feel unsafe or, you know, anything crazy, but I had been dropped off in like a souk, like an open market, and I knew that the hotel I was staying at was maybe a mile away, like a mile, maybe a mile and a half. It was a very walkable distance. However, I underestimated what that walking path looked like. So I'd asked the young lady that was like at an information booth, and she was pointing like, yeah, it's like it's right there. It's right just that way. And I'm just like, okay, cool. Confirmed. Not far. What she failed to tell me was that the road or the route that I was to commence on didn't have sidewalks at a certain point. So, and also it was all cobblestone. So I got my backpack and I'm dragging a wheelie luggage, thinking that it's just going to be like a straight shot, maybe a little turn here. It turned into cobblestone, and then there was no sidewalk, and this is now like 3 lanes of high, like I was almost like on the side of a fucking highway at this point. So I'm like, okay, we're going to have to pivot, detour. I think I like had to climb over and bring my bag over like, like those metal, not dividers, but the bumpers on the side of highways that kind of keep cars from hitting pedestrians and stuff like that. So had to pivot, got my stuff over there, and then like ended up turning down some streets. I didn't know where the fuck I was going. I'm pretty sure I had a map, but I don't know that the map was necessarily directing me appropriately. I was lost as fuck, but it was onward. So I'm walking, and no, I'm pretty sure I did have a map, and I just could not necessarily. It was one of those things where you see that it's here, but I didn't understand because it was in Arabic. Was it Arabic? Do they speak Arabic? I'm pretty sure it was in Arabic, but whatever was on the map that I was looking at wasn't fucking helpful. I saw the little dot where I was, but I could not really augment myself in my surroundings to make sure I was going the right way. And I'm in the middle now of an alley. Like I am in an alley and I'm like, okay, this probably isn't the best place to be lost. And then I remember walking further up and then I saw like a guy, like an older guy sitting having a smoke, and it looked like the back of like a restaurant. It was basically the alleyway was the backs to a bunch of restaurants and stores and stuff. And so I remember asking like, do you speak English? Like I'm looking for like this hotel, and he's just like taxi. And I'm just like, yeah, 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 but like it's here. He's like, get a taxi. And I'm just like, but I can walk. Which way do I go? And he's just like, get a taxi. And that didn't deter me. Thanks, sir. I'll figure it out. And so I walked through like a bunch of like tourists, a whole bunch of like rowdy white folks, and it was just like, okay, I don't wasn't going to ask them for help. I think I popped into a shop, tried to ask somebody for help. They didn't fucking speak English. So I ended up just freeballing it. I just kept walking, and I walked, and then all of a sudden I'm walking through like this parking lot, and it's quite desolate. And I am thinking that now I am walking on a straight line, and I'm okay. There, hotel, still a little bit of a distance away. And as soon as like I had identified I'm going in the right direction, fucking thank God, I get the sense, pivot, head on a swivel because you're paying attention when you're doing foolish things. And there's a car behind me, and it's just like, so why are you driving so slow? We're in a parking lot. Granted, you're not doing like 45 in a parking lot. I get it. But it was mad suspicious. It just wasn't. That's when it was just like, yeah, something about that doesn't feel good. And so huffed it. And then there was another, like one of those metal barricades, huffed over those, crossed the street, boom, boom, boom. I was in the hotel. Right as shit started to feel kind of sketch. Um, Me now, knocking at 40. I already knocked at the door. I'm just waiting for them to open the door. I'm 39. I'm getting a taxi now. I'm not doing all of that unless I know exactly where it is I'm going, especially dragging luggage around. Because to me, it's the luggage that fucks you up because now you look lost. Whereas if you can look lost without luggage, but it's the luggage part that's just like, oh, you're not from here. Oh, you could get got. And that now is something that I'm not really willing to do. I prefer if I'm gonna be lost, I'd rather be lost with both hands free. And just having the ability to kind of move in a more or in a less auspicious way. I don't necessarily want to have a loud ass rolling luggage making noise behind me. I don't necessarily want to have to maneuver extra things. And I also don't necessarily want something that may be viewed as of value by somebody else when I'm in the middle of trying to orient and, redirect myself. So, that not doing it again. I would absolutely just get a fucking taxi if I could. Or clearly identify where it is I need to be and where it is I'm going. Also, at this stage in the game, I'm not even really interested in solo travel anymore. I never thought I would like get there. I never thought I would be there. I think I mentioned that before. Um, but I love traveling with my partner. I love traveling with him. I'm a fucking princess. He carries the heavy things. He generally knows like where we're going, and he's much better at directions than I am. I It's kind of like one of those things when you're on a trip by yourself and you experience something, oh my god, this was so fun, or the food was so good, or oh, this is so exciting, or even this is like miserable, and you have the person that you reach out to. You reach out to your best friend, or you reach out to your sibling or to your partner while you're away. I don't have to reach out. He's with me. So and I love that. Priorities change, and like solo travel, I've done quite a bit of it. I think I did maybe 20, 23 countries by myself. I'm good on the solo ones now. I enjoy having my partner, and I did not expect that. So leave space for things to change and to develop for you as you mature in life. What's the next one? Ooh, show up with nowhere to stay. Shout out to Terry O, my homie Terry. I actually should check in on Terry. Haven't spoken to him in a while, but Terry, I think, was on episode 3 of the podcast, and he was telling me about like a real free spirit free ball trip that he went on. I think he just pulled up to LA or someplace in California and went with the vibes. My man didn't have nowhere to stay. He didn't have no plans. You just showed up and went with it. And I decided to try that in London. Mind you, that was, I would say, like the final leg of one of my was it? Yeah, it was definitely the final leg. I don't know that it was like, yeah, I don't think it was the Euro trip because I think I may have done like 2 visits to Europe. I don't really remember. But at this point, let's just assume it was one. It was the last leg. I had already overdrafted in the bank. All I had was like my Amex, which I had money on, but a lot of places don't accept Amex. Plus, I was staying at hostels. Europe is a great place to stay in hostels. A lot of the hostels were cleaner than some of the hotels I've actually been at in the States. Kid you not. And hostels also often offer the option of a solo room. So consider that when you're traveling, especially in Europe. Um, I can't say I'd ever stay in a motherfucking hostel in the United States. Absolutely wouldn't. But I did it there. And at the time I had arrived, I was tired as fuck. And I think I spent maybe 4 hours in the airport just crying. I was just there. I was exhausted. I had no plan. And it was just like, what, what even are my options? I, at the time, was trying to decide where I wanted to stay, and then also like which of those options would take an Amex. I did not want to get all the way to the hostel on my limited funds. I think I had cash on me, but it was just like, all right, so I gotta eat. I still need a taxi, and I still gotta be able to find my way back to the fucking airport. So it's just like, okay, we gotta make all of this shit stretch. So I was beside myself, and my phone was like on a die. So I was just like, "Do you pull it the fuck together? Go charge your phone." Ended up going to charge my phone. I called my dad. My dad is generally shit terrible at like making me feel better when I'm already stressed. He is a doer. My dad is absolutely the I will get up and do a thing for you. You need me and you are stressed. I will come get you kind of thing. My dad is the doer. He's not very good at the whole, oh, talk to me, baby girl, like what's going on. But this time, don't know what it is, but he had the juice that day and he calmed me down because he was just like, what do you need? I will send you money, babe. Like, it's, I got you. And I'm just like, I don't want your money. I'm just upset that I got here. I was like overtired. So, anyway, pulled it together. And the last hurdle that I was facing was, what hostel do I choose? Because the few options that I'd found that I was interested in and that would allow me to use the Hostel World app and use my Amex, because again, remember I said I didn't want to get there and try to book in person, only had co-ed dorms available. And I did not want to run the risk of staying with a bunch of men that I didn't know. So I was super stressed about it, but I ended up just staying at a hostel that I knew my brother had stayed at when he visited London. So I booked it. Turns out everything was fucking fine. I had a great damn time. But when I tell you the stress, the stress, not doing that again. Not doing it, not doing it. Now, would I, however, extend a trip or randomly decide to stay in a city or an area that I hadn't initially decided to stay and then kind of figured it out, like figure it out when I'm there? Absolutely. If something happened and it's just like, oh, I'm not coming home this late, or oh my God, we had such a great time. I'm on my way back and we missed the train or something. And it's just like, okay, well, what am I do? Sleep on the floor? No, I'm going to book a room. If something occurs and then I now need to like make an adjustment, it is what it is. But that's something I'm not interested in doing, is showing up and figuring it out when I get there. Which leads me to the next one, that whole sleeping on the floor thing. I'm not sleeping in an airport anymore. I slept in the airport in Norway. About that. I had the most incredible Airbnb experience. My host, Tone, a dream. I still hope that she is doing well and happy in life. Um, and I ended up having the most incredible Northern Lights experience. So I booked the experience, I think the evening before. I think it was actually the evening that I left. No, it was the evening before. I think I had a wild early flight the next morning, like a 6 a.m. flight, right? So, of course, you got to be at the airport. I want to say international flights show up 3 hours early. But you want to be at the airport early. 6 a.m. flight, you figure worst case scenario, that ass should be there by like 4:45, 5 o'clock, right? So I knew I was going to have to be there early. The Northern Light situation, I want to say, ended at, I think I was estimating it to end at like 12. I was trying to give myself a little bit of time. So it was like, all right, from where the um activity drops you off, I could either take, I was like in the middle, right? I could either take an Uber back to where I was staying, and then I'd have to take an Uber to the hotel from there, or I could just take an Uber from where the experience finished straight to the hotel. So, I mean, to the airport. So it was kind of like, what's the point in going to the Airbnb? I don't want to pay for two Ubers, one, and then it's like I don't want to go all the way to the Airbnb just to have to then take, to be there for what, 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It didn't make sense in terms of the distance there, the distance to the airport. I decided to go straight to the airport. I think we finished a little bit sooner, so it wasn't even like, I don't think it was even midnight when I got there. I don't think. I had a couple of fucking hours to kill. Lo and behold, news to me. Um, well, it shouldn't have been news to me because I came into that airport, but the airport was like a snap big. The airport may have been like the entire airport may have been the size of one of JFK's smaller terminals. JFK is bussing any time of day. You'll of course find like a quiet terminal, or excuse me, like a quiet gate here and there, or certain areas are a little quieter, but when you first get to the airport, whenever you get in, it's always people there. Not the case in Tromsø. It was dead. Like it was basically closed, if you will, but you're able to get in, but there's no service people there. Nobody that works there is like out in the open. I don't even think there were custodians or janitors or any facilities maintenance around. I didn't even see any security, police or anything. It's just, you can get in, but like you can't really do much. Um, and I think there may have been a couple of people who have found, let's say there were maybe four, I don't even know what to call them. Like you had the baggage carousels a little further back. You had maybe six different desks for like the ticketing and stuff like that. None of that was manned. Nobody was stationed there or anything. It was just very desolate. There were a handful of people that were kind of sleeping towards the back. I had to just find a spot, get comfortable, well, as comfortable as I could get, and wait it out because I'd made my bed. I'm here. So, I mean, what am I going to do? I McNiggered up some chairs, laid them out. I think I put my suitcase like at the head of like two or three chairs, put my backpack on top of that, and that was my pillow. And I laid on my suitcase. But then those same mythological, if you will, but the same random like guys that I wouldn't want to be stuck in a hostel with, you could see some of them kind of coming in, and it's just like, ooh, so we're all here alone together. I don't like that. Yeah, not all airports are very populated, especially not at randomly late hours at night. So I have no intentions to ever sleep at an airport to kill time. Now, I caveat that with sometimes your options are very limited. I won't forget the time I was coming. This might have been a Peru trip. I don't remember where the hell I was going or where I was coming from, but I ended up having a layover in Miami. And it was a brolic layover, maybe like 6 hours or some shit like that. And so part of me was just like, well, it's 9, 10 o'clock. I don't really want to just go to a random like bar or a restaurant because I'm at the hotel. And then it's just like, well, how far is wherever I'm going to decide to go? I don't really think it's enough time to really need to get a hotel per se. It wasn't like wild late or anything, but it was All-Star fucking weekend. So all of the cab prices was insane. They were nuts. I absolutely wasn't going to spend like $40 to get to the closest fucking bar just to have to spend another $40 to get the fuck back. So I'm going to spend almost $100 just to not be in the airport. And then like do what? I still had to sit and wait. So it's just like I might as well sit and wait here the fuck for free. I could get some like a Dunkin' Donuts is going to open soon, or a Shake Shack. Like there was stuff in the airport that was going to be opening up soon, because I feel like it was also another very late area. But this airport was very busy. There were tons of people around. So I didn't feel like I was, unsafe or being or in a situation where shit could get kind of crazy. It was plenty of people around, security and shit like that. um so it happens that it is just, I won't say more beneficial, but it's more trouble than it's worth sometimes to leave the airport. So it's not that I would never kill time at the airport, but I can't see myself knowing. That's the difference. If it happens, it happens. You pivot, you figure it the fuck out. I can't see myself booking accommodations or like navigating my plans for the evening or the day knowing that I'm going to be at the airport that fucking early. I think at this point, if it weren't going to like run me wild money, I'm not spending I'm not going to no fucking airport at 1 o'clock in the morning waiting for a 6 a.m. flight. It's not happening. That is something that I think that I would accommodate for, or like it would have to be a very, and again, this is why at the top of the episode I said I'm a vibes kind of girl. I can't say I would never do something again, but looking back, it's like, well, why the fuck would you do that? Context, conditions, but ain't really something I'm looking forward to doing the fuck again. It's very low on that list of things that I would tolerate at this point. I think that I would honestly just choose excursions or accommodations, or, I make my choices based now on some of the things that I know can go wrong. And that's the beauty of having these experiences and why I'm grateful for them, because in those experiences, I've learned what shit I'm kind of willing to deal with, like just like as a brush off of the shoulder, and what things that I kind of need to plan for in advance or kind of know to see coming, if that makes sense. Um, One thing, bingo fact about me that you don't need, but something that like grinds my gears, that really pisses me off, is when people seemingly are oblivious to the things that could happen and like don't prepare. Like, for example, if somebody told me, "Oh yeah, yeah, I left my charger." I don't know. I'm trying to think of. Okay, I left my charger in the Airbnb. So like, but so did you check everything before you left? Did you not? You know what I mean? Just like when something is, things that are a reasonable, you can reasonably expect for something to happen, however you don't plan for that reasonable expectation. I really have a hard time feeling bad for you. Like, things happen out of your control, and we know this, right? We're adults. So why, knowing this, do you not do your best to control what you can control without being like overly like wild about it? Like, I've thrown caution to the wind, or I've had a good fucking time. I've done shit without stressing me out. And I understand people are different. But that's just one of those things where it's like, plan for there to be an opportunity to have to pivot, to change. You feel me? Like, I try to accommodate myself. I feel as if I like myself, and I like myself to be happy and comfortable. So I make choices and decisions that, try to ensure that as best as possible. And I'm not saying that in a way like, oh, I just do it so that I don't have shit go wrong. No, that's not what I mean at all. But I feel like there is a subsect of you that know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. And I feel like we're the planners or even the out of the box thinkers, right? Just consider like driving, right? You're driving. You don't drive for the rules of the road. You drive for what could go wrong. You drive for what is conceivably possible from your experience. The way you've seen people move on the road, that's how you drive. That is how you should drive. Just because you shouldn't make a left turn from the right lane doesn't mean I don't know what it looks like when somebody is in the right lane, possibly turning left. It can happen and you not see it. But when you see it, sometimes you realize there are patterns, there are sequences and things that people do that hint that that is likely going to happen. And if you continue to drive because you know that they shouldn't do that while they are actively doing what says they may do that, then that's a you thing. When the signals around you, yeah, you feel me? When things start to kind of lead up to, oh, maybe that's going to happen, for you to then behave as if, well, they're not going to do that because they shouldn't. Eh, you know what I mean? I try to put a pin in what should and expect for, I give myself space to expect the worst of other people. And so, in closing, the number one thing that I look back on and question, one of the most interesting experiences of my life. But I gotta say, crime junkies, I failed us. I truly failed us. This is something that any last one of y'all should look at me and say, you're stupid. Because I say the same thing to myself. But again, context, feel it out. You kind of gotta, you had to be there. Final thing. I would not again drive to the Grand Canyon with a man that I met that same fucking week. My host and I in LA hit it off, got real cool, and we ended up, like, I think I was in LA 2-3 days, and then he ended up coming with me to Vegas. He was like, yo, we had such a good time. You know what? I should come to Vegas with you. And I'm like, yo, pull up, pay for your flight. LA to Vegas, like $100 flight. No biggie. Let's go. And we flew to Vegas, had a good time. And I had already had my shit set up in Vegas because I was still going to have a good fucking time. I ended up booking a hot air balloon that got canceled. Great disappointment. There was a weather issue. Didn't go through with that. I had booked, I think it might have been one of those like pink Jeep tours kind of thing. It was one of those small excursions where we were going to drive out to the Grand Canyon, and that got canceled. And I guess it was because not enough people had booked in the slot that I was trying to go. And so he was like, babe, don't worry. Rent a car. I'll take you. Okay. Mind you, I had the best fucking time. The absolute best time. It was a straight drive. He did all the driving there. He did the driving back. I'd say maybe 4 hours each way, give or take. Maybe not. Don't fucking remember. Um, and what I appreciated about it was that we got to do everything in our own time. I didn't have to wait for the group. I got to pivot, turn, stop, go further, explore more in the areas that interest me. The things that looked pretty, I could walk in that direction as opposed to following, the tour guide. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy doing guided tours. I'm just very okay freeballing it myself because at this point, after having been on quite a few guided tours, the one thing I will say about guided tours is that individual commentary from someone that actually knows what the fuck they're talking about, unmatched. Absolutely unmatched. But a lot of times I could barely remember what the fuck these people tell me anyway, and I end up just remembering the views and the vibes. So if that's what I'm going to remember anyway, I might as well go do the view and the vibes on my own. So loved our time at the Grand Canyon, but I will say, one of the scariest fucking things was as we were driving out there, we were looking, and you're in the middle of nowhere, mind you, that drive. You're in nowhere. There's nothing but mountains and open expanse. And every once in a while, you see a trailer, like like a housing, like a trailer where somebody lives, or like a house out in the distance. And I remember he had said something like, somebody could be in that basement and nobody would know. And he was like, yeah, somebody, they should be like on a list or something. You would think that you live out here in the middle of nowhere. Somebody should like be checking to make sure you're not like holding somebody captive or anything. Mind you, we're in the car alone together in the middle of nowhere driving to the Grand Canyon. And so I said to him, like, you realize how that sounds to me right now, right? Like, why would you? That's not creepy at all. Why would you bring that up? And like I think he doubled down. He was like, no, no, no. I mean, like anything could, go wrong, or there could be like you could do anything out here. And I was just like, oh, this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. And here I was in the middle of the terrible. And I want to say, was that on the way there or on the way back? I feel like it was on the way there. And again, that's one thing that I 95% sure I would never fucking do again. But again, this is hindsight, me looking back. And even then, it was one of those things like I would think, calculate what's going on. I'm pretty sure I like tapped in, checked in with certain people and be like, hey, I'm here. Hey, you've got my location. Or, hey, this is where I am, kind of thing. I'm not, again, I done some stupid shit, but I'm not stupid. But yeah, that one, number one thing that's the dumbest shit I've ever done. And it was a good fucking time. Y'all, travel is so much more than vacation. It is looking back on some of your dumbest decisions. It is looking back on some of the most adventurous times of your life. For me, it's been that at least. I would never question any of like the extreme sport shit I've done, zip lining, swimming with mantas. Plot twist, there were no mantas. The area we were supposed to swim, I think the water was too choppy, so we ended up just doing snorkeling someplace else. Um, Swimming with the sea lions, y'all, I got so fucking sick after that. But I jumped off a boat in the middle of the ocean and like in front of an island full of thousands of sea lions and like went swimming up to the island so that the sea lions could come swim to us. I would never change any of the risky adventure shit. I would absolutely do that. But I can absolutely tell you that me now would very likely make quite different decisions. I would absolutely be a less trusting person, I think. And I think that just comes with age. Like they say, you get more conservative as you get older. I don't think I've gotten more conservative, like politically at all, but I'm pretty sure I've gotten more conservative in just how I move through the world. And I am so glad that I have had my non conservative experiences in life. I am so grateful to have had and to have still these incredible, incredible memories. and these really bomb stories to tell. I really hope, like truly hope, that for those of us that do travel, that have been, and again, I hope 6 years in, y'all realize when I say travel, it don't mean like going to Timbuktu or, going someplace far off and distant, but just scrolling back, just think of the different places you've been, the different experiences outside of your community, outside of your regular home. And I hope that you can look back and say, yo, I've had a good fucking time. And I think that if you expand what you consider travel, you'll realize that you've had a lot more adventurous experiences that you can pull back on and look back and say, God damn, I had a good time. So I thank you guys for sharing in my gratitude, for making it through some of the dumb shit that I have done on my travels. And I hope that you guys are being safe on your travels and choosing wisely. Don't forget, read the room, trust your gut, and also use your travels to continue to develop that gut so that you can make decisions that will continue to keep you safe and keep you adventurous and alive. All right, y'all. Bye.